Okay, hey, good morning, guys. It is Thursday, October 6th, 2022. And today's video this morning is really about personal development. I don't have much to tell you about stocks. I'm in my positions, CS, CW, Adobe, as far as the Robinhood challenge, Robinhood platform challenge for 100K. And, right now it's doing all right today. We'll see later on by tomorrow. But, quick mention, I had worked on putting a fence together in my yard this past week. I already had the vinyl guys come in, the professional, not they weren't even really professionals, but the guys that do some work for me. They put up the vinyl part, and for what it costs, I thought, I could probably do the backyard myself in my spare time, and I'd like to learn how to do it. And my hands are still sore, from it. And I mentioned before, I got the post driver. I did some T-posts for some wire part that is back in the conservation wetlands where it doesn't really matter. There's trees everywhere. I just don't want the dogs to run into the woods. And then I had some wood panels, cheap wood panels that I had purchased that I wanted to use. And I'm afraid, limbs are going to fall down from these trees and break the fence anyway. So they're cheap enough, but they keep, again, the dogs from going out and animals from coming in the yard. So it's an ongoing process. And even though it was a lot of hard work, I learned how to do something new that was intimidating, right, through personal development. Now, again, nobody's going to hire me probably, maybe, and I'm not sure I would advertise that if you need a fence put in, I could put a wooden, a fence in. I could put a wire fence in, not the chain link, just like chicken wire and T-post. I have a basic idea how to do it, make it level, make it secure in the ground, to be time efficient, how to set concrete, how to dig down, right? And I'm sure I could get better at it and better at it if I continue to do it. And I could probably generate some extra money if I wanted to, or at least probably, thinking out loud here, I could probably hire a crew of guys and manage them and take a smaller profit margin and undercut some of the people that are doing fences, because there's a need for that. Whoa, watch out. But, the point is you learn from doing it. I made some mistakes. I got splinters. I wasted some time. I didn't measure the distance properly, so it was kind of like tough to get the wooden fence to fit between those two. So I made mistakes. But the point of that is when I put the concrete in, whether I mixed it right or not, you don't sit there generally and watch it dry. You just know that according to the formula of water and the concrete mix, that you stir it up with the water and it dries and it gets hard and it sets. Okay? So if you're making an investment and you're putting money into something, or if you're investing in yourself and it takes weeks and months or years, it's like watching this concrete set. You don't need to be concerned because it's not dry. It's still kind of wet. It's still moist. It's still like if I press on it, it's moving, and it's gonna harden, right? As long as you follow the instructions and you're patient, it's gonna set. So when you develop yourself in different areas, whatever it is you want to do, whatever you're doing, even if you're working. I read something this morning in Instagram from Henry Washington. He's one of the real estate guys I follow. I like the guy. And he had quoted somebody else. And a lot of the stuff that these guys share, men and women, it's from someone else that said something smart or quoted something that provides perspective where you're like, I never thought of that before. And one of the things, it was a guy who said, I think it was 15 things that, I was a millionaire in my 30s. And here's 15 things that made a difference. And I thought that was interesting, right? For a younger person to say, here's what I did working a high-paying job to become a millionaire in my 30s. And he kind of goes through it. And one of the things he said, everything he said was pretty good information. But one of the things he said was, at my job, at my career, I showed up early. I worked very hard. I knew they could count on me. I got promotions. I maximized my job. I got, I scaled my pay. I made sure that I was advancing. And he kept, making money and putting money away in index funds and not overspending, basic stuff that made sense. I'm like, yep. that I didn't do when I was younger. But I was like, yeah, that you could go to work right now doing anything. I'm watching a show right now called The Undercover Billionaire. And it's got Grant Cardone and a couple. That's really why I watched. I wanted to see him. And there's I think Doug Stearns. He was the first guy from the first season. I haven't seen that yet. And then there's two ladies. I can't think of their names right now. But millionaires, multimillionaires. I know Grant Cardone is a billionaire. I don't know if those two ladies are, but interesting how they started with nothing, right? Like they send them out into the city with nothing, and they have 90 days to scale $1 million business, and they show you how difficult it is. And it was really interesting because these guys are immensely successful, and the world is our oyster. Like they have plenty of money, and they're very living in the lap of luxury. And they put themselves in this position to say, with the mindset of, I can do this, I'm going to show you how it's done. And they're struggling, right? And I'm only in the second episode, but I mean, they're struggling. There's tears, there's emotion, there's doubt, there's talk of like, I can't do this, I can't make it. And these guys are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and Grant Cardone is worth billions of dollars, a couple $1 billion, right? So it's hard, it's hard. If you have money, it's hard if you don't have money, is something that Grant Cardone was saying when he was upset, struggling. And he said it's impossible, is what he goes. It's impossible if you don't have money. So, money for us, of course, makes it easier if we know how to manage the money, right? Can't manage, we can't measure. But if we don't have the knowledge, the personal development, which makes you an expert at life with your kids, with certain situations where you recognize, even if you don't handle it right, even if somebody doesn't like the way you handle it, right? I tune it out. There's many times where I disagree with some of the things that get done. At the end of the day, you got to stand on your own 2 feet and say, is this going to help me and my family? Is this right or wrong? Whether you're spiritual or not, whether you're a religious person or a Christian person. I mean, there's just good and bad. That's for sure. I don't care what religion you are, what faith you follow. I think you believe that there is good and evil, right? Like there's things that are just wrong. There's different levels of that. And then there's things that are right. It's the right thing. It's not about an attaboy and look at what I'm doing. But, that's the basic, rules of life, is that there's good and bad. And there's good and bad decisions. And when you're developing yourself at whatever job or career you're doing, the sooner you figure that out, thinking of my son Mason here, 20 years old, the fast track that you're going to get to, regardless if you become a doctor or a lawyer, an entrepreneur, you go work for Google making $500,000 a year. I have a friend, his daughter just, started working for them. They were just making, a lot of money, like $400,000 or $500,000 a year. And, you can get a high paying job at a top level company, and you'll get paid well. And you should take advantage of that, because if you have youth on your side, you can still blow the money. You can still make dumb things, or you could set yourself up and your family for life, right? For as long as the time that we're allowed here, if you make the right decisions, more than you make the wrong ones. So obviously, if I said, hey, don't go down that road, it's a dead end. I've already been down the road. I know it's a dead end. You can figure it out for yourself. But it's when somebody is sharing something with you that is trying to help you avoid the pitfalls. Pay attention. So at my job, and whatever job that you do, self-development is, how can I learn to do my job better, more efficiently? I become an asset. I become a pillar, we're in the organization. And at some point, I could maybe go start my own organization if that's what I wanted, because I have the skill set to do most of the jobs. And sometimes I play stupid because I don't want the responsibility, right? And I don't mean that negatively. It's just like, it's okay sometimes. They say the smartest guy in the room is the one that is, has nothing to say. He's doing the most listening. I'm not, don't quote me, that's how it was said, but, the guy in the room, even if he's a fool, if he's quiet, they might think he's really smart, right? But if you just listen more than you talk, sometimes, the opportunities will be very evident. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking this morning. I wanted to keep it short, under 10 minutes. That's what I was thinking about this morning, is as I listened to these things. every day. I try to tune out the news. Honestly, other than just I can get information anywhere because it is so negative. It is constantly um, a negative thing, right? Fear. Oh, this is happening. That is happening. It's nothing positive. I very rarely hear something positive in the news or in the headlines. Or if I just go to Google, the first thing that pops up is like lately is Putin, and he's like, looks like a maniac, and it's nuclear threat. Just like stuff like that. Families being another one. A family got abducted and murdered by somebody. I mean, man, it's just so depressing. So it's going to go on. These things are going to happen. I can't call Vladimir Putin and say like, "Hey, Vlad, Jamie Benty here. Hey, what's going on, comrade? What's happening?" I would like you to stop what you're doing in Ukraine. It's really freaking people out, and it's affecting the markets. Enough's enough, Vlad. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'll make apology to all of the UN and the NATO. Not going to happen. Nobody's going to listen to me. So I can only control my space. That I don't know if Vladimir talks like that, but that is what I do. Is I try to just work on self betterment, self development, and the rest kind of follows. And then those opportunities just become apparent. You know what I mean? And they can start right where you're working. Right, whatever you do. So, if you love what you do, fantastic. Makes your day go by easier. If you don't love what you do, be thankful and grateful, right? Because I'd rather have a place to go, right? I was talking to a guy yesterday, the business I was trying to, acquire. He was saying that, he had surpassed his earned income job. I'm making a long story short. With his passive income, right? And this guy's close to 70. And he had a quadruple bypass, which is pretty major, where they take the veins out instead of a stent, and they put in heart. And he's like, I almost died. He goes, but I'm at a place now where before I was thinking of retiring and whenever. Now he goes, I'm thinking I want to retire now or in the next 2 years. So, like it puts life in perspective where it says no matter how much wealth we're able to acquire, right, whatever level we get on, and however busy we are with life, there's an expiration date. So you gotta have some positivity. You gotta really enjoy your family, or your time, if you're alone, right? Find something that makes you happy. Okay, guys, I hope you have a great Thursday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.